Welcome everybody to our crypto spiritual energy update. My name is Jona Bryndis, and as you know, I'm bringing a different perspective here into the cryptocurrency sphere that hopefully inspire you to rethink a few things, like how you want to look at things from the perspective of a conscious investor or a conscious observer. The energy healing part and the energy coaching part, which is my profession, allows me, to analyze or to look at things from a different angle, namely from the energetic sentiment that is behind, say, a token or an entire industry. Okay, so last week we looked at the crypto market in comparison with the other economic systems that we have and certain institutions and so forth, and this created a lot of questions in you guys. So know that this is live. I cannot see you yet, but you can ask questions anytime here during this weekly update. We're going to be looking at the week 34, August 17th till 23rd of 2018. And as you know, I start this out with a little bit of a review, reflection of last week's energies, and also reflection of last week's market barometer here that you see on the left. So this is for coming week, but we need to do a little bit of feedback as to what we are doing here with this experimental prediction or forecasting tool. And then we're going to look at next week's energies and conclude with the crypto energy integrity ratings, which is where we calibrate each token, company, exchange, apps, influencers, and so forth by their consciousness level based on Dr. Hawkins's map of consciousness. So what you have here is a sort of a roundup of the market, and based on data that we are producing at transCODES with hundreds of energetically sensitives and empaths who can pick up on energies and who are in session with us, and so it's not really a prediction. It's more like, sort of the delayed manifestation of what people who are energetically sensitive already pick up on. It's just not, something that could be measured by a computer, or software. It's something that is being picked up by energy coaches and energy healers such as myself and all these phenomenal energy coaches here at transCODES. So bear with me if this is a little bit woo-woo for you. It is actually quite interesting. And, the integrity ratings that we're going to look at here for the second half of this weekly update, they never cease to blow my mind. And we have been doing this for 9 months already, the integrity ratings. I've been reporting about crypto energies for over a year and a half now. So we have some really good data that we're producing there that we will soon publish as a comparative study. All right, guys. So yeah, this week is licking our wounds, going through our healing pains. Okay, if you haven't left the crypto market yet, if you are not one of those millions of people who rage quit last week or who just can't take it anymore, the volatility and the ups and downs, and you are still here and listening to me, okay, guys, it's going to get better, all right? So it's not about the prices, as you know. It's about the market sentiment, and the prices don't always reflect that. And this also explains why this, I'm actually realizing right now that I have the wrong, that I'm showing you the wrong barometer. This is the barometer that I showed in the collective energy update just a few minutes ago, and that reflects on the overall collective energies. Let me find the crypto spiritual one. They are often the same or very similar, but not always. Okay, so collective energy conditions can lead to emotional conditions or mental conditions in people that can affect, say, their decision-making process, but it's not always in the same way. So when we make decisions, financial decisions, we're accessing different parts of our energy body and also different parts of our brain, and so it doesn't always translate directly. But if you compare these two, then they're very, very similar, because overall, what is being, sort of subconsciously being perceived right now is, sort of kind of like the relief after the rock bottom, like this, really from here on, it can only get better, it can only go upwards. However, this crypto barometer here that I have been showing all these weeks has already been showing this for the last 3 weeks. And the prices in crypto and market cap and also Bitcoin and all the altcoins has significantly corrected this week. So it didn't reflect the sort of the market cap movement, but the overall sentiment. And the overall sentiment is increasing, and it's, actually, like I've said last week, the news around blockchain and cryptocurrencies is more and more empowering. It's more and more confirming what we have been knowing for years, namely that this will be, the fourth industrial revolution, and that it's only a matter of time now, because till this is all integrated. So all the big companies, the big fintechs and institutions have basically already announced their intention to move their applications or whatever services into into a place that utilizes this technology here that cryptocurrencies utilize. But really, what it comes down to is, the new spirit, sort of the new integrity that comes in with this. Besides, of course, the effect on our overall accounting system. So, this is actually something that has fascinated me right from the beginning of Bitcoin, even though I didn't invest into Bitcoin in these early years, 2009, but I kept a close eye on it simply because there is a third ledger system, that has been introduced into our accounting system, and that actually changes more than people realize. So it's not just about the currencies here. It's not just about the tokens. It's not just about the apps or the market, and the speculation with the tokens. It's much, much more. It's an entire paradigm shift in the way we account for orders, for payments, and for deliveries. Okay, so this may explain to you why there is so much enthusiasm coming from certain groups of people, and not just the tech people, but also other people who can see a little farther. Now, there's also a lot of criticism coming in, and this has to do with the integrity level of the cryptocurrency sphere. Namely, of course, also the possible misuse of the blockchain, all right? And we don't need to talk about the dangers of, sort of revealing data or storing data in decentralized places, not to mention, the open source aspect. So we have two conflicting ideas that go with the blockchain and cryptocurrency sphere, and that is, on the one hand, we want to produce more trust and more open source and more collaboration, and on the other hand, this of course also opens up, the danger, of us as people, as persons, with our personal data, sort of becoming part of this sort of big brother type of scenario. And so we have to keep a very, very close eye on these integrity aspects here. For me, this is not just about you know, who will be the next Apple, or who will be sort of the next big player, you know, and making investments now, say, for my children in the future. No, this is also about, you know, will we finally, as a society, as a collective, grow into a higher consciousness level? So if I look at the comparative study that we did last week here, there were some really, really interesting things that were shown. And forgive me, you know, for not explaining this here at this point. I will do this in an abbreviated version in a minute. But I just want you to pay attention to this white bar here, okay? It places cryptocurrencies amongst other financial systems and institutions. And the numeric value that we're looking for truth and integrity is 200. And while cryptocurrencies calibrate higher than, say, the existing banking system or the fiat system altogether, it only calibrates slightly higher and is still below 200, guys. So when we look at the integrity ratings of certain tokens and applications here in a minute, then I want you to keep this in mind, that the overall integrity level of the cryptosphere is only at 193 right now. Okay, and we will keep a close eye on that and retest this, you know, every month for you, just to keep, you know, sort of this witnessing and the feedback that is needed, you know, to really see the larger picture, to keep this, to keep you guys informed. All right. So what else happened last week? Well, we had, of course, you know, besides the dramatic price drop, you know, for Bitcoin and all altcoins, it actually hit the altcoins harder than Bitcoin last week, which we've talked about a few weeks back, you know, these dynamics, you know, between Bitcoin as the pull horse and the altcoins as a result of this. So there's always a little bit of delay. So we have a Bitcoin dominance that is growing right now, which shows you a general tendency that people are moving out of altcoins into Bitcoin because it seems sort of the more stable one. But whenever there's a slight sign, you know, of Bitcoin going up again, you know, then the altcoins soar and then they drop again. So there's a lot of pump and dump, and this is what you know, what is responsible for this extreme volatility that we have. So if we're comparing a crypto market right now to last year, we're actually not only for the first time seeing all-time lows for a lot of altcoins, you know, we're also seeing one of the most drastic drops in prices. But all that has nothing to do really with the overall sentiment, because if you compare the sentiment from last year to right now, last year we were fighting with like stupid statements, you know, that were coming from, you know, Jamie Dimon, that, you know, Bitcoin is a scam, and that, you know, this is all a huge bubble and blah, 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 and countries banning cryptocurrencies and so forth. Guys, those times are over, right? And what really blew me away was this study that was conducted, and I will have the links in the description, that showed that the majority, namely 56% of the market cap this year, was actually coming in from institutionalized money. So there's a lot of movement of big money, you know, of whales here. Much more than maybe those people like yourselves or like myself, you know, who've seen, you know, the cryptocurrency sphere more as a grassroots movement. Those days are over too. And yes, everybody is crying move, everybody is crying manipulation. And yes, we've talked about this before as well. This is what you get when, you know, the existing paradigm, the existing banking system, the existing financial systems become interested and begin to adapt to a technology, or in this case, you know, a way of transferring money. they're going to try to control it because their integrity level is below truth. It's based on control. It's based on self-gain. It's not based on openness, on sharing resources and so forth. No, it's the old paradigm is based on profit making at all cost. The new paradigm that we are looking at and that we are hoping for to provide the platform for, with the blockchain is based on distributed resources, on resource sharing, okay, on trust-based transfer and distribution of wealth everywhere in the world. So equality, and taking out these middlemen, that are operating based on the old system. But it's naive to think that, this old paradigm is just going to watch, and say, oh, that's all right. We can survive without your banking fees. No, they can't. So it's actually a survival struggle. So we've awoken the lion, guys. And yes, this is going to be a little painful here. So we're going to have to watch this very, very carefully. But one thing is for sure, and that is the transfer of market cap from fiat into cryptocurrency. This is already happening, even though we don't see this yet. This is coming. Whether it's this month or by September next year, who cares? It's huge, guys. I mean, we're creeping around $200 billion market cap, and most of that really just sort of flips back from altcoins back to bitcoins and so forth. So the market cap is not even reflecting the real amount of money, fiat money in the system, all right? But there's $18 trillion out there that are being invested, in currencies and derivatives and stocks and so forth. And cryptocurrencies have not even reached that early adopter state. So this is why there's so much talk about hodling, holding on. It's like, when you could buy shares of Apple when they first IPO'd. They weren't worth much. And they went through decades of degradation and people laughing about the company and ups and downs. And, most of you know the story of Apple. And look at them now. They've just crossed the $1 trillion mark. They've also had to cut some losses. But this is huge, guys. So we're at the beginning of something really huge. And I'm not making that depend on, current volatilities or current prices. So this is my recommendation for you all together. So yes, as a mini investor here myself, is it painful? But you see, these coins that I published, and obviously I'm not a financial advisor, so this is no financial advice, but I published my hodl list, for 2018, and I stick with it because I based this on integrity level and not on how much money I could do with it. And so my hodl list hasn't changed. Okay. Some of the other things that happened this week are interesting only for those of you who are really into more of the tech stuff. There's Bitmain, one of the largest mining companies and mining pools in the world, who have been in the very controversial light lately, have actually issued, they're in the pre-IPO stage, which means that they are actually going into the stock market with their company. And this is a little bit concerning. So this has led to the FUD that has produced the up and down here this week, namely because there is a huge amount of holdings within this mining pool, all right, that could manipulate the market price. And the same was revealed about Ethereum and the vastly dropping price due to sell-offs from all these ICOs that made millions of dollars with their crowdfunding or with their ICOs that are now panicking and doing panic sales. Okay, so yes, there is manipulation, guys, but those are you know, I don't want to downplay it, but those are all normal market movements, okay? So we're just learning as we go, you know, how all these things influence another. Okay, so there's a connection between ICOs and the Ethereum price. There's a connection between altcoins and Bitcoin, you know, and there's a connection between those mining pools, whom some of them, like Bitmain, literally hold a large chunk of these coins that they are primarily mining. And so, yes, there is a possibility for manipulation. All right, though. Other than that, my personal opinion, and I've shared this here with the group, the crypto spiritual group that we have at transCODES. In my view, this is the tanking before the big run. You know, in conjunction, you know, with manipulation. This is, you know, how you can get rid of all these fearful mini investors, you know, by throwing these prices up and down and wearing people out, you know, and this way you get rid of them, the price goes down, and this provides a wonderful opportunity for these larger institutions, for OTC brokers, and you know, those who can make who can move, you know, millions of dollars in one trade to buy in cheap. Okay, so if you haven't thrown the towel yet, just stick with it. You'll see it. Okay, so let's move to the crypto rating here, and I want to summarize this real quick, what it is that we're testing. So obviously we're not testing, we're not analyzing the company and so forth. No, actually, most of these phenomenal testers, whom are all energy healers, energy coaches, don't even know what they're testing. So first of all, it's a blind testing, and then the second run that the testers do, the targets get revealed so that they can, you know, get feedback, and that they can, you know, work on this in the future. But most of them actually don't even know what they're testing, even if they know the name of the token that they've tested. So we are testing the energetic calibration, and that's based on the integrity, the truth value of a token, the team behind it, and the technology behind it. Also in conjunction to, you know, to these higher vibratory new paradigm goals, namely to support the entire sphere, the entire system, into you know, this more integrous place, and also the long-term perspective. It's not a rating based on prices or returns of investment, and you know, it's of course not trading advice. And what are we using to test? So our testers are a mixture of energy code workers, some of which also have remote viewing training, then psychics, you know, and you know, using a technique, a muscle testing technique based on kinesiology, and applying this to the map of consciousness calibrated by Dr. Hawkins. So this is something you can Google, guys, okay? So we didn't make this up. And once more here, the value that we are aiming for is 200, namely, you know, the level of truth, which makes a company trustworthy, a technology trustworthy and safe, and a token trustworthy, you know, sort of as, well, I lately I've been calling it hodl worthy, you know, as a long-term investment. Anything below 200 is basically based on the old paradigm of economics. And with 193, the cryptocurrency market as of right now is as well. So it is no surprise that most of the tokens projects that we test, that they test anywhere, you know, somewhere between 180 and slightly above 200. Okay, because this is where the cryptocurrency market calibrates at, and the banking system calibrates at 190. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of this gravitational pull into, you know, this area of the existing old paradigm. Anything below, sort of 180 is based on greed. There really is it's really not integrous. It's really not trustworthy. And then if we've only had this once, but you can of course ask us. By the way, this reminds me, we test what you recommend. So please use the description here in the video to ask us to test tokens. All right. But anything, at 150 and below, guys, that's a straight out scam. Okay, so it helps, to evaluate a certain, tokens as investment, but it doesn't really tell you, if you compare the numerical values that we come up with, whether you're gonna make more money with this or with that token. Okay, so don't go into premature conclusions with this. All right, so the first token that we've tested for this week is Tether. Okay, and Tether is a so-called stable coin. Okay, so it's not actually a coin, but it is. All right, so it's a cryptocurrency that allows you to convert your fiat into Tether, and it's supposed to hold the exact value of your fiat currency. In other words, if you have $1 and you want to convert this into Tether, it'd be 1 Tether, okay? And it will hold that value of your dollar. So it's basically used for betting, like if the volatility goes up and the prices go down, a lot of people will move their altcoins or their bitcoins into Tether to park it there. So it's for parking, okay? Because you're not going to go below inflation rate of the currency, the fiat currency involved with it. The problem is and in the past, it's been quite controversial here with Tether because nobody was really sure if they actually had the funds to back that up. So they had to do a lot of trust-inducing publications, and they had to show that they actually have the funds. It's also very controversial because, it's not a real currency, and it kind of defies the nature of the cryptocurrency spirit, all right, of the crypto spirit. And so a lot of people are straight-out Tether haters, okay? What we found out here with the testing, that with 193, the Tether token actually calibrates exactly where the cryptocurrency market as a whole calibrates at, which means, oh, well, yeah, it may not be trustworthy, but it's more trustworthy than, than fiat, slightly, but it actually is. So theoretically, you could hedge, sort of the financial crash or whatever people are afraid of by just putting all your US dollars or euros into Tether, and it will probably work better for you. However, I'm not suggesting this, of course. I really don't. I'm just trying to be neutral here. So a stable coin, allows you to move out of a specific coin into this sort of more neutral coin. And with 193, it's actually not that bad. It's not trustworthy, but it's not that bad. The people behind Tether with 189, compared to a lot of the other tokens where we've seen, very enthusiastic teams or very arrogant teams or very, all kinds of attributes, that you can see with certain teams. It's all right. It's not trustworthy, but it's all right. The technology with 189, that's a bit scary because that doesn't make it really that safe as a technology. Okay, maybe there's something in the, that it can be hacked too easily or something like that. I don't want to set any rumors into the world, but with 189, it's, not enough. So a total rating of 190, guys, that, all it really tells you is that it's pretty much as trustworthy as a bank. And how you value that is up to you, okay? It's non-integrous, but it has a place here. And there's other tokens such as Tether. True USD will be one of them, so we should probably test them next week. And there's also tokens that have a similar function, which from what I can see in the community are favored, and those are exchange tokens. So you know, when you have the situation where you're not really sure if you want to buy or not, but you want to be ready, and you want to have your money basically in the you know, converted into crypto already, then you can use these neutral exchange tokens, such as the Binance token, or the Huobi token, or the KuCoin token, or you know what I mean. We've talked about these, and we tested some of these, and they're actually not that bad. Binance actually, let me pull this up for you, did actually pretty good as far as their integrity is concerned. So the Binance token, okay, not the Binance exchange itself. So some of these companies, you know, they have a different integrity based on their function. So I can test Binance as an exchange, but I can also test Binance, the Binance token. And here you see with 206 overall rating, that is actually pretty high. So you know, I'm just throwing this out there at you so you can make up your own mind and do your own research. The next token that we tested is Icon. So Icon is it's actually in itself, it's a foundation, okay? It's a consortium. It's a Korean company that has created a network of banks, insurances, hospitals, you know, sort of institutions that are in public service or potentially in public service, and helping them, you know, to do this integration into the cryptocurrency and blockchain market. So it provides, you know, sort of, you know, transitions for them in form of a wallet, for instance, that they can use to implement this into their corporation. Okay, so we've tested a few of these tokens, although this is quite interesting, the way they've structured this. So I've always liked Icon, and I'm a little bit disappointed with the testing here, with 193 as a calibration for the token. Okay, that goes along those same lines as Tether. You know, but people behind it with 182 and the technology behind it with 187 is not enough for me, you know, you know, to say hodl it, or to see this as a long-term thing for me. I think that consortiums or foundations like this have a place here in the market, you know, understanding very well what this means to you know, to do a transition, a technological transition such as that for companies, you know, but it doesn't calibrate much higher than, you know, like sort of existing companies. So the fact that there's actually a token that they use for that and a protocol doesn't make it better. Okay, so you know, the team feels opportunistic, and the technology may have issues. So we had a little bit of extra data here coming in, you know, so it's not integrous, but it has its place. That's all I can say. All right. A token tokens that sort of you know, that you find in the top 25, top 30 list, you know, we will occasionally add them to the rating simply because we want to close in, so that we can you know, do these comparative studies as soon as we have enough data available. So Icon was something that we tested because we needed to close in. The next token is 0x, and it's good to actually see numbers about 200 again. This is very interesting. So it's a protocol. Okay, so this is not actually a company that produces applications. They have a protocol which brings in sort of a new way of doing things. And you know, I'm not like tech guru or anything, so you know, I can only go by what they have in their white paper and so forth, and I don't always understand everything. But it has an off-chain consolidation, okay, an off-chain permission protocol, and that allows others to integrate a form of cryptocurrency exchange in their own software or in their own systems. Okay, so it's based on Ethereum based. It's an ERC20 token, and therefore allows sort of smart contracts to be integrated into other systems. It's actually a really, really cool project, guys, because it's really utilizing, the sort of the crypto spirit, this decentralized idea, for everyone to be able, to swap tokens or to change them into other tokens. All right, the original idea really of cryptocurrencies. And the people behind it, I mean, with 195 as a token, that's good. 195 is almost, trustworthy, but it's above the average in the cryptocurrency sphere. The people and the teams usually calibrate a little lower because you've got different motivations, different agendas. With 195, that's actually pretty high. And the technology calibrates at 202. You know what this means? This means that this is an integrous technology. All right, this means that it's a truth-based technology. And there's a lot of optimism there. And, from our end here, with 197, we give 0x a thumbs up. We think that this is a hodl-worthy token, okay? And that we are going to see more from them in the future. Next up is DOGECOIN. And, this is something, DOGECOIN, if you were there last year when they did their ICO, people at first thought it was a joke, okay? So they have this dog that they use, and there was this big meme, about DOGECOIN. And what it really is it's a regular peer-to-peer currency, okay? So again here, according to the crypto spirit, this is exactly what it's supposed to be, like Bitcoin, okay? They call themselves fun and friendly, so they want to be like a social cryptocurrency, where it's easy, say, if I want to send you money, I just use DOGECOIN, I just send it from my phone to your phone. Now, in general, this is the idea of cryptocurrencies, but as we have now come to find out, it's not that easy, all right? DOGECOIN brings in, sort of a no-nonsense kind of concept with this, and with 200, the token actually calibrates as integrous, and according to the crypto spirit, guys. The people with 198, wonderful, those are all, really enthusiastic and, trustworthy people in leadership of DOGECOIN. And the technology with 201, that's always a good sign, because that means this is solid, guys, a solid technology that's behind this. So with an overall rating of 200, right up there with Bitcoin. Congratulations, DOGECOIN. We will probably see you. You need, more application, and so it will depend on which applications maybe find, or accept DOGECOIN as a payment method or a transfer method. So I'm wishing you all the best as a true crypto spirit token and company. Next up, and this is our last, no, not yet, the second to last token that we tested for this week is UTRUST. Okay, and UTRUST is kind of like aiming to become the PayPal, for cryptocurrencies. And if you were there last year, end of last year, when they did their ICO, it was a successful ICO. I participated in it, and I recommended it as well. But something happened there, and I'm going to talk about this in conjunction with integrity. But let's look at the token. So the token itself calibrates at 204. That's pretty high, guys. So this means, you know, this is a good, solid token here for the future. The people 203, one of the highest calibrating teams that we've tested. So my thumbs up for that, because that's not easy to produce a team, you know. In Crypto Staffer, we help people to find the right companies to work with, you know, according to you know, their vibrational match and their integrity, and vice versa, you know, helping companies to find the right employees. It's very difficult to build a higher vibratory team, you know, of tech people. So good job, guys. The technology with 204 also up there, guys, as truth-based and trustworthy, safe. So an overall rating of 204, while it seems nothing, and while it just seems like a minute difference to maybe 195, it's huge here in this context with integrity rating. So as a payment platform, it's trustworthy. The token and tech is the real deal, and it's integrous all over. They may be a little overwhelmed right now. This is what I'm getting as information as a team, but they're really trying. And here's what happened to me. Okay, so obviously I live in the United States, and I participated in their ICO. And, you know, like most ICOs, at the time, you know, that there was a lot of insecurity about the countries that could participate in ICOs, and they weren't sure if the SEC is going to like ban all this. So it was right at the beginning of the KYC, you know, your customer process being installed. And so you could participate in the ICO, but as the ICO proceeded, UTRUST actually informed those people in these countries where this wasn't regulated yet that they could not take their money. And they actually went through the ordeal, not only to write to them individually, to also send them their money back. Now, that was a little bit frustrating for me as an investor, because obviously I wanted to participate in the ICO hype, but as sort of consequential behavior, it was a beautiful sign of their integrity. So, you know, the part of me, you know, that looks at those kind of things really respected that, okay? So they're really trying, guys. I have big hopes for UTRUST. So good job, guys, there as well. Congratulations. And the last token that we've tested here for this week is DENT. And this was also recommended by you guys. And DENT, you know, has a really sort of aggressive marketing. It has a lot of social media presence, and it also has a very strong affiliate program. And the interesting thing about DENT, which is basically a currency for mobile minute sharing and top-ups. It's a disruptor technology. Okay, so basically we can all sell our access minutes, you know, from our cell phone company that we're not using, you know, to the DENT platform, you know, and people can buy it, and the currency that is used for this exchange is the DENT token itself. So it's a really, really great idea, and a really cool app, and one of the few solid applications, you know, for cryptocurrencies as of right now. More than 23 million users, I think. So you know, like, my kudos for that, because, you know, this is a part of our frustration that cryptocurrencies are not really being used that much, but here you see it's working and it's great. However, for some reason, you know, the overall integrity level of DENT is not very high. And somebody asked me like 6 months ago if I could test DENT, and I did this for the person, and you can ask me, you know, here in the description as well. And I told him, you know, it's a great idea, but it's not fully integrous. And why is this? Let's have a look here. So the token calibrates at 192. That's just slightly below the average cryptocurrency. The team calibrates at 187, and you know, this is a sign that it's greed based, guys. Okay, that the people are in there, you know, are in there for profit making, which is okay. This is what business and our entire economic system is based on, but you know, to the expense of the customer, to the expense maybe of safety, and this is also reflected here a little bit in the rating for the technology with 189. So an overall rating of 189 is not really good enough for me to say, oh, this is a HODL worthy token. Do I like the project? Do I like the technology? Do I like the idea? Absolutely. I love it. I think this is a great role model, great example for, you know, how we are going to use cryptocurrencies in the future. Is it going to be DENT? I doubt it. But for now, you know, there's a lot of hypes and ups and downs, and there's money to be made. You know, my suggestion for you is be careful here, okay? You're going to see pumps and dumps on a regular basis, okay? Because there's an interest here, there's an agenda here, not just coming from the company itself, but also, you know, the users as affiliates, okay? So whenever you see that, you see a lot of people, you know, producing videos on YouTube and, you know, sort of creating a lot of internet web traffic about it, and that sort of gives this overall feel that it's great, but that doesn't always reflect, you know, the quality of, you know, the specific token. Okay. Next up is an exchange, and we've picked Blockport as an exchange. Personally, I have no experience with Blockport. Here you go. But I looked at it, of course, after I tested it, and the other testers. I'm not sure if any of our people here in the calibration group is actually using Blockport. It's growing in popularity, so it's out there. However, the testing shows, or the calibration shows, that the exchange itself, and with it the safety of it, only calibrates at 182. Now, we've seen this with other exchanges as well, so it's not surprising. They usually don't calibrate that high, never really higher than banks. But this one, you know, calibrates significantly lower than a bank. However, you know, compared to some other exchanges, which I will bring up here in a second, it's kind of okay. Okay, the people, the leadership in the organization calibrates at 183, so we gave it a total rating of 183. It still doesn't, you know, sort of feel like a trustworthy exchange for me. The way Blockport looks like, it looks almost like exactly like Coinbase, and I think what they've been trying to do is just really trying to find an alternative for Coinbase, because there's so many Coinbase haters out there. Basically, just creating a copy of it. All right, and so it feels a bit like a Me Too product, you know, and it's based on vanity. I mean, yes, the user interface is pretty good. I really like it, you know, but it's populistic, you know. It's like a good commercial, you know. It feels kind of empty. So it looks great, but it doesn't really calibrate that high. So I'd be careful in comparison, just so you know that you can better see what I mean here with. You know, how this sort of looks like in context with other wallets or exchanges, and I pick Coinbase because it has almost the same functionality. Coinbase calibrates at 187 for the technology, so that's a little higher, okay, at least a few points higher than the fiat system. And the people in the organization calibrate significantly lower than in Blockport. So you see the issue here. Okay, the overall rating of Coinbase is 181 as compared to our 183 in Blockport. So if you need an alternative to Coinbase and you are willing to live with the same sort of risks and side effects, you know, then sure, you know, then you can go with it. We have one more integrity rating, that you may be really interested in, but I've just deleted the video capture here on my streaming software. So forgive me for this, guys. For 1 second. Just need to stay calm. Alright. Okay. So I don't want to bore you, so I'm just going to leave it as is. The last crypto integrity rating is on influencers, and influencers are people in the crypto spiritual or crypto sphere, you know, that have an impact on the crypto market. And I only do this on recommendation, all right? So I really want you guys to let us know whom you want to test. To do integrity testings on a person where we test the overall consciousness level of that person, okay, is iffy, okay? So first of all, we always have to ask for permission if we can even do this, and if we can publish those, you know, those findings. The other thing is, and I say this every week, please, guys, don't see this as a judgment of a person, okay? So measuring a person's consciousness level is basically serves the purpose to discern whether a person speaks truth or not. And the influencer for this week that we tested is Cliff High. So some of you may not have ever heard his name, and some of you may actually be here because of Cliff High. Cliff High has invented sort of a software crawling program, 97 or so, I think, that uses a certain protocol that can produce predictions. It's called predictive linguistics, the protocol, and he produces webbots. And webbots are basically forecasts that are based on this very same thing that we do here at Crypto Spiritual, namely picking up the sentiment. But the way Cliff does this is that he actually measures the words and the emotional value of these words, you know, based on a certain scale that he has come up with and improved over the years, which personally I think is so genius, such a genius way of doing this, and very, very similar to what we're doing here, except for that we are using the whole person as the measuring tool, and therefore, you know, don't really have sort of numeric data. We just have subjective data that we are calibrating, you know, with this tool, with this map of consciousness. So anyway, a lot of people in the crypto sphere were actually inspired by Cliff High to look into Bitcoin. He has been talking about Bitcoin since the beginning, and predicted this like popularity that we've seen last year, many years ahead of time, okay? And you know, the only reason why I have been, you know, sort of paying attention to the crypto market is because of Cliff High. I was interested in the technology. I thought that was cool, and I could see the potential there, but I wasn't really expecting it to be that, you know, becoming that popular and accessible for all of us, you know, that quickly. And so thanks to Cliff and his webbots, you know, it has kept me sort of on my toes. The integrity rating here for Cliff shows with 204. Yes, he's an integrous person. He speaks truth. Okay, he combines his consciousness with his expertise, his technical expertise, and the internet data that he collects, and can produce a very visionary picture of the cryptocurrency market. And so with 205, you know, Cliff, you are definitely up there. And as an influencer, you know, an integrous source of information. Now, why does the webbot predictions, why don't they always work? This has to do with how manifestation functions, and of course also how certain timelines develop. So I can feel your pain, Cliff, with people, you know, praising you into the skies and, you know, trying to destroy you or troll you. On the other hand, you know, based on your predictions, because you know, this isn't just because we're picking up on these sentiments, which are based on, totally agree on your view there, are based on the subconscious premonition that we all have. You know, this is really what energy work and energy coaching is all about. But the interpretation is the problem. The interpretation is always our weak link. So is my interpretation of these calibrations. So you know, the text that you see underneath those numerical values is basically my personal take and the additional data that our testers bring in. And so there is, of course, always room for error, and you know this, and I know this. And so it is experimental, but it's cool, and it's a really visionary way of approaching things, which I'm sure will be copied many times by artificial intelligence. What can I say? It's the you know, it's kind of like the fate of a visionary, you know, that what you see comes in too early, and because the overall consciousness level of people is not high enough to see the truth level in that, and so we can easily feel victimized. That's a little bit sort of the weakness here that I see in your energy field is, you know, the pull into fear. You know, but anyway, I'm not an energy coach here right now. I'm just somebody who presents results that come from our way of testing, and so I hope nobody is taking this personal here. This is not anybody's opinion, okay? And so please understand that you know, the crypto spiritual is really just trying to give us ways, you know, to recontextualize things away from, you know, just money or just sort of financial gain, more into a win-win-win situation, you know, where there's higher vibratory paradigms, higher vibratory ideals that can finally be implemented and manifested. All right, guys, I did not see the chat here today. I'm sorry for that. This concludes the Crypto Spiritual Energy Update for week 34. Thank you for spending time with me. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as visit our Crypto Spiritual Facebook group. Okay, so that's a private group. You have to, you know, click the join button there. But this is where there's extra information posted, and you know, where people can ask questions and comment on things, you know, not sort of just week based. All right, but if you have any comments, let me know how you think about these calibrations. Let me know how you feel about the crypto spiritual barometer and how it has worked for you in the past. And yes, give us recommendations, give us coins, apps, influencers, wallets, or exchanges in the cryptosphere that you want us to test. All right, guys, I hope you have a good week. I hope you make good decisions. All right, don't get caught in the fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.